Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing a vinyl update video just showing some of the records I've purchased over the last month or so. So these come from a variety of different places, some like some record fairs, some record shops from all over like the UK. So yes, I'll just get stuck in. First couple are a couple of online purchases I made. Been getting really into Teddy Hall like recently, like mostly after like his like very sad death like back in December there. So I picked up these two albums here, both solo albums. So this is Home, which was released on Record Store Day a couple of years back. I never picked it up like at the time, but this is a great record. You've got some great collaborations on here with the likes of, I think his main songwriting collaborator was Craig Gannon, who was former member of, well, he was the Smiths' kind of second guitarist for a time, but I think he was also in like Aztec Camera. And then you've got a couple of tracks that he co-written with Andy Partridge as well from XTC, which are really, really great. So that came out in 1994 originally, and then also picked up this one, which is called Laugh here. So this one came out in 1987, and this is equally good. Like I bought this album really like on the basis, like the strength of like the first song called Love to See You, which is brilliant. So okay, if you've not heard of that and like you're not familiar like with Teddy Hall solo stuff, give that first song, like Love to See You, a listen. And this song again features, I think, a lot of stuff with Craig Gannon, but you've also got a couple of tracks co-written with Damon Albarn from Blur and Stephen Duffy, who is who like we'll be seeing a lot more of during like this vinyl update. He's like the lead singer in The Lilac Time, who are now one of my absolute favourite bands. So yeah, I'll have a lot more Stephen Duffy stuff later in the video. And then also picked up this album here, which is a new release. It's my second new release from this year. It's the new one by Belle and Sebastian. So so I picked up like the Latham's new one a couple of weeks earlier, and yeah, this was my my second new one from this year. So this album very much was just announced out of the blue completely. I think almost like a week, 2 weeks before like its like release, and following very quickly like off the heels like off their last album, A Bit of Previous, which I think came out last May or June, which is a great record, and like was one of like the main albums which got me into Belle and Sebastian. This one I don't think is quite as good, but it's maybe a grower on me, so we'll see where it places like in that my end of year list like when we get to it. Okay, next couple now are from a record shop fairly close by to me. Again, it's always hit and miss with this shop. Sometimes I get some real good bargains, sometimes they have absolutely nothing. This time I got some really good bargains, like I'm pleased to say. So first one I got was what I've shown on my channel already. This is a Scritti Politti album, Cupid and Psyche 85. So this was on my 1985 albums ranking, and this one did certainly come towards the lower end of the list. I wasn't too fond of this album. It is a very celebrated album, but yeah, it didn't do a lot for me, unfortunately. I then picked up this one, which is a Beach Boys album, which I've been looking for like a little while. This is Sunflower. This is a 70s album. I think it came out in 1970 actually, but this is a later reissue from like the 80s. But this is a brilliant album. Like, I mean, like again, I'm still very much just dabbling in like the Beach Boys, and specifically this kind of like mid-period Beach Boys. I think like they did some very interesting work, like some great albums. Like Surf's Up, I think, was the one which followed this, and that like a lot of albums which again like I'm not too familiar with. So yeah, we'll be eager for any kind of Beach Boys recommendations out from like around this time. But this was a great record. Really, really, really enjoyed it. And then last one from that shop was Stephen Duffy one. So again, lead singer from The Lilac Time, but prior to that he had a solo career, was like went under the name of Tintin, and then Stephen Tintin Duffy like for like a time. So this was his second solo album called Because We Love You, and it's a little bit of a departure from his debut called The Ups and Downs, which has his big hits Kiss Me and The Icing on the Cake on it. This one was a bit more like of a flop album, like it does have a bit less of that 80s kind of sheen to it. I mean, it's definitely still there. He's certainly not fully embraced the kind of folk rock and kind of country stylings like off like The Lilac Time. But yeah, like an interesting album here, particularly for fans like of his. Okay, next we now got from an Edinburgh Record Fair like a few months back. So I started to rake through some like the bargain bins, which I don't normally do anymore, because I kind of if I'm going to a record fair, I kind of I tend to buy sort of a slightly higher ticket item, but maybe fewer of them. But this time I thought, okay, I'll look through like these bins. I wasn't seeing much else, and I actually got some bargains. So these were, I think, they worked out about £2 each, like for each of these ones here, which I thought was like a great offer considering like sort of like what some of like these records are. So I got this one, which is Kate Bush and Lionheart. This was, I believe, her second album. And yeah, I'm now complete on Kate Bush up until The Sensual World, so I've not got anything beyond that, but I have, now pleased to say, got all of her albums prior to that. I got this Billy Joel one here. Like, I'm not a massive fan of Billy Joel, but I do quite like some of his albums, The Stranger and the Nylon Curtain, like in particular. This is what I didn't have. Turnstiles here. The hits on here would be New York State of Mind and Say Goodbye to Hollywood, but a good album here. I mean, not what I play every day, but a decent record though. I picked up this one, which is by Madness as well. Again, still in that bargain bin. So £2 for this, which is One Step Beyond, their debut album. I mean, I enjoyed this. Madness, I kind of have to take in kind of moderation a little bit. I mean, like, I really like a lot of like their hits, and this album starts off really strong. You've got like the likes of My Girl and Nightboat to Cairo, kind of like that's like early on, like on the album. But then I thought there was some slightly fillery tracks like on like the second side. It's certainly not the kind of flawless debut that I think a lot of people like make it out to be. And then also got this Kinks 12-inch here, which is for the song Do It Again here, which is from the Word of Mouth album. Never seen this before. Like, you don't often see Kinks kind of 12-inch singles kicking about, so I got that one as well. At the same record fair, I got a real bargain on this, which is an Oasis single, and like a 7-inch single for The Importance of Being Idle, which I didn't even know had been pressed onto like a 7-inch. By this point, I think most singles were kind of CD singles. But yeah, this was only £5, but this goes for about 20 quid, like on Discogs. You've got a non-album B-side called Pass Me Down the Wine, which is a Liam Gallagher composition, which isn't particularly good, but like the actual main song, like Importance of Being Idle, is a certified classic there. I then also got my first album from this band here, which is World Party. This is an album called Goodbye Jumbo, and this is really good. This is very kind of, you've got a lot of, it's very Beatles-esque, this album, a lot of kind of classic kind of songwriting like on here. So like the lead singer like in like this band is Carl Wallinger. He was a former member of the Waterboys, like I believe. I think he was a keyboard player, like, but he left I think shortly around This Is the Sea album and then formed World Party. But I think this is mostly a solo album, to be honest with you. I think it was just more of a kind of name for him to release like his own music, because I think he plays pretty much, I think, about 90% like of the instruments like on there like himself, which when you consider like the quality like of the album, like it's like quite remarkable. So yeah, Goodbye Jumbo there by World Party. And then also picked up this album here, or rather it's like an EP kind of thing. It's by the 3 O'Clock kind of Paisley Underground band. This is called Baroque Hoedown, which I believe was their first release like as the 3 O'Clock, and like they released an album called forget what it's called, but like it was under the band name like the Salvation Army in 1982, and then this was the first release against the 3 O'Clock in 1983, and this is really good album here. Again, a couple of originals. When I say like album, like there's 8 songs in here, so it's kind of halfway house between like a 12-inch single like and like an album. But yeah, some great tracks and a couple like of really good covers as well. Good cover of Feel a Whole Lot Better by the Byrds, and Pink Floyd's Lucifer Sam as well from their first album. So yeah, if like you're into the kind of like psychedelic music like of like any kind, the 3 O'Clock are a really, really great band. I then also got this album here, which is a bit of a blind buy, but it's one which, like my girlfriend's dad makes these weekly playlists, like off music, like about like 10 different songs like every week, and I think this band was on it, and I remember liking the song that he'd sort of put on like this playlist. So when I seen this album going cheap, I thought that I would give it a go. So it's by a band called Dinosaur Junior, and it's their album Bug. So I know next to nothing about Dinosaur Junior. I don't know any of the members. This is a late 80s album. That's all I really know about it. I don't know whether this was their first or their 6th album, like, or anything like that. But I enjoyed this for the most part. It's a little bit heavier for my liking, particularly towards the second side. I think that the last track, I think is it called Don't, was a bit unlistenable for me, but the first side's good. If like you're looking for something with a little bit harder edge, Dinosaur Junior, like a good band there. Okay, and then I got these next couple from a Edinburgh record shop. They kind of it's quite good, this shop, because they kind of post on Facebook like what like records that they have coming in. So it's almost like you can kind of go looking for something like in like particular. So I went looking for this album, and thankfully they had it. So it's The Days of Wine and Roses by the Dream Syndicate. So again, these these are a kind of paisley underground band, early 80s kind of like American, like sort of like that psychedelic revival kind of thing, but Dream Syndicate always has a slightly more kind of artsier edge than bands like the 3 O'Clock, like say. So this is their debut album released 82, I think. It's on Rough Trade. It's a UK issue, like on Rough Trade here. A little bit more pricey, this one, but I've never seen it before, like on vinyl. Very difficult to come by. So yeah, thought I'd pick that one up. And then in this same shop, I also got this Oasis CD single. So this is for Stand By Me. I'm not sure whether I'm going to start collecting these. I don't really know. I mean, like they're quite cheap and like easy to come by these, because considering like all these songs, like those like most like Oasis songs like were big like #1 singles. Got a couple of good non-album B-sides here, like I Got the Fever, My Sister Lover, which are not on the master plan, and then Going Nowhere, which is one of my favourite Oasis B-sides. It's an incredible song. So yeah, Stand By Me on a CD single. And then at the same time as that, I also got this one, which is a Blondie 12-inch single. This is for Atomic. Fantastic cover again. Like put like a lot of effort like into like their kind of 12-inch singles like artwork. Blondie could have been. It was certainly like I think better than like their album cover for Eat to the Beat. This personally, and yeah, so like Atomic, fantastic song. And then you've got on the B-sides here, Die Young, Stay Pretty, which I think was an earlier track of theirs, and a cover of David Bowie's Heroes, which I must confess I've not actually played this yet, so this was still in my to listen to pile, so I will get back to you like on like that one. Okay, next couple now are from my most recent trip down to Manchester. I go down there fairly regularly. Like my grandparents do like live like down that way, and like whenever I do, I always like to get in a little bit of record shopping. But the first 3 here are actually from my uncle's collection. Like I've told the story many times, like where like where like essentially like left like all like his records like from like the 80s, like at like their house. They've been rotten like away like in like their loft for like the best part like of like 30 years, and then like when I was like getting like into records, he said that I could basically have like whatever I wanted. So I kind of started to slowly kind of go through like his collection. I think I'm probably now at the bottom like of the barrel a little bit, like with like what was in there, but still found some good stuff here though. Well, first one, I would maybe debate whether it's good stuff, but like I know that like a lot of folk do really like this album. So it's the Pogues and Rum Sodomy and the Lash. And yes, if you'd seen my album ranking for 1985, you'll know I wasn't too crazy about this album at all. It was my least favourite like from like that year. So I'll like less said about that one the better. I then got this one, which is by Billy Bragg. So I'd seen Billy Bragg supporting Paul Heaton like the last time, like back in December, and yeah, I really like his songwriting. Like I really like this album again. Like particular, this is Talking with the Taxman about poetry, and there's some great tracks on here like Greetings to the New Brunette, Ideology. There's power in a Union. So yeah, very kind of folky sort of protest songs, but really good though. So yeah, Billy Bragg there. Unfortunately, this one is in horrible condition, so I would be probably likely looking for a slight upgrade copy like on that album. And then also got this one, which is by a band called The Wedding Present, and this is the album George Best. So again, I know next to nothing about The Wedding Present. Slightly harder edge to them for like compared to some of like the stuff that I'm into, but still really good though. This one came out in I think 1987, I want to say. Maybe need to spend a bit more time with this, like get to know the album a little bit better, but yeah, just thought I'd show that I'd like got my hands on a copy of that one. Okay, next couple now are from a record fair which was in Manchester. I got like a fairly big record fair, and at this one I did alright. I actually found myself actually being drawn to kind of buying like singles, like a lot more like kind of 7-inch singles. So I'll just show like the ones like I picked up there. So I got this one, which is by again like the Lilac Time. This is Return to Yesterday, probably their most well-known song. Again, it's hard to say with them because probably most of their songs are not very well known. But this is a great song, a real classic for me from 1988 here. And then I got this Orange Juice one, which is Flesh of My Flesh. I think this was from the Rip It Up album, I want to say. So yeah, like you don't often see like Orange Juice singles there. I think this one was I'm going to say this one was on Postcard, but no, it's on Polydor Records. This one here. So yeah, that is Orange Juice. I then got this, which is a rather fun little item. It's a Talking Heads picture disc, which I had no idea like even existed, off Road to Nowhere, one of my favourite Talking Heads songs. So yeah, really nice picture disc here. It's backed with a Television Man on the B-side. Okay, and then also got this one here, which is XTC and The Disappointed, single from the Non-Such album. I believe this was the last 7-inch single they put out. And then a couple of Paul Weller ones as well, which again are not ones which I've ever come across before. So yeah, I was quite excited to find these. So I got a copy of Have You Made Up Your Mind? And All I Want to Do Is Be With You, but this is a acoustic version, so it's quite different from the album version. Both of these were like unique B-sides, in this case a cover of Manfred Mann's Pretty Flamingo, and you've got a track called Rip Up the Pages here, like on the B-side, to Have You Made Up Your Mind. Okay, and then in terms of 12-inch items, I got another Blondie 12-inch single here, again for Sunday Girl here, again another fantastic cover, and yeah, another fantastic song. I got this album on the recommendation of Rob Walker, so he'd mentioned that this band would be quite up my street, and again I really enjoyed this album. It's a band called Airheads, and it's the album Boing here. I believe this was their only album as well. They were kind of like a one and gone band sort of thing. This came out I think early 90s, 92 it says on the back here, and this was really great. I think it was the singer's voice reminded me quite a bit of Neil Finn, like off Crowded House, so it's kind of got like that. The singer's got a really great voice, but then like the backing is quite baggy, quite Stone Roses kind of style to it, but no, really great record here, Airhead, or Boing rather, by Airhead. And then been suddenly trying to get some more REM albums under my belt, so I got this one, which is their second album, which is Reckoning here. So yeah, from 1984, a great record. For me, a bit of a step down compared to Murmur, but I mean, that is one of the best debut albums of all time. I mean, it was a very hard act to follow, and yeah, this is a strong album, but I don't think quite as strong as Murmur, like certainly for the time being. But no, a great record, and nice to find a lovely original pressing of it there. Okay, and then from a shop just around the corner, I think the best shop in Manchester, Clampdown Records, I got a few bits and bobs there. So I got this Joe Jackson 12-inch single, Joe Jackson Band rather. This is The Harder They Come, which is a song originally done by Jimmy Cliff, and this is a non-album single from Joe, released in 1980 here. So around the time of the Beat Crazy kind of era, where he was going under the name of the Joe Jackson Band. So yeah, picked up that one. Also got this album here by the Icicle Works. I think I've now got nearly all the Icicle Works albums. This is called If You Want to Defeat Your Enemy, Sing His Song. Came out in 1980 something or other, I'm not too sure. Produced by Ian Brody. Again, not had a chance to play this one yet, but for me the Icicle Works have always been a little bit patchy. The first album is brilliant, but then the last couple of albums, specifically Permanent Damage, I'm not a big fan of. So this one, we'll see how it is. But yeah, you've got, I think again, one of their more popular songs like Understanding Jane on here as well, so hopefully I will quite enjoy this album. And then, like I said, been getting into the Lilac time a lot over the last month or so, so I picked up this, which is Days of the Week, which is a 12-inch single from theirs, taken from the second album, Paradise Circus. Just a 12-inch single, yeah, basically. You've got Days of the Week, and then a couple of non-album B-sides on there as well. And then also picked up this one here, which is a Smiths 12-inch single. So this is for What Difference Does It Make? Now this is quite, I don't want to say a special version of it, but it's the original pressing of it, which doesn't have either the Smiths name, which they would print on later versions, and also, specifically with this one, I think it was the only time the Smiths actually got into trouble with one of their cover stars. In this case, the actor Terence Stamp, that reportedly didn't want his photo featured on the single, but it was too late. They'd already produced some copies of it. So for later versions, and I think the more common versions, you actually got Morrissey doing this pose here. But this is the original, so very nice to get this copy of it here. Again, with two awesome B-sides, Back to the Old House, and these things take time there. Okay, now as I've said throughout this video, I've been getting a lot into the Lilac time and their frontman Stephen Duffy over the past month. So I picked up a couple of ones online, albums he was involved with. So this first one here is by a band called The Hawks. Now this is the earliest recordings of his career. Now not a lot of people know this, but Stephen Duffy was actually a founding member of Duran Duran, but he left way before they ever found commercial success. And then then after leaving Duran Duran, like he essentially formed this band. But like they never commercially released like any music like at the time. This is a much later reissue or kind of collection like of like their recordings, and it's rather good. Like, you know, very new wavy, but like, yeah, really good stuff here though. So the Hawks and obviously Five Believers here from like, again, like early 80s there. And then I picked up this one online as well, which is a solo album of his, released in kind of like the mid 90s. This is just simply called Duffy. This album here, 1995, very Britpoppy. This album, I guess you could argue like he was maybe like sort of like cashing in like a little bit like on like kind of like the Britpop sound and style. I mean, it is basically like a run-of-the-mill Britpop album, but no, very nice still to get it though. Like with, again, some really good quality songs on there. And then like at the same time, like as I bought that one online, I also added this one to my cart. So those ones like were on Discogs. This is a Pulp compilation called Masters of the Universe, Pulp on Fire in 1985 to 86. So Pulp have a very interesting career. Like, most people know them as the kind of Britpop giants, like with Common People, Disco 2000, all those great songs. But they actually had basically like a whole career before that, like as a very odd kind of art school band kind of thing. But they were on, like, they had like record contracts basically. So this is like a time like when they were signed to a label called Fire Records, just compiled some tracks here, and I must say this is very patchy. Like I wasn't expecting much, but even then this album like didn't do a lot for me, to be honest. There's some rubbish songs like Dogs Are Everywhere is just laughably terrible, and then the title track Masters of the Universe isn't great either. The only really good track on here like is like the first track, Little Girl with Blue Eyes, is very Scott Walker-y, very kind of transcendent song, like, but all the rest I could probably do without. So yeah, maybe gotta give early Pulp like a wide berth now. Okay, now we're on to some really recent finds from a recent trip I made to London here. So I did pretty well at various shops and record fairs. First ones are all singles from a particular shop out in Crouch End, which is which I thought I would venture out to. Really good shop. And again, I got some quite nice singles here, and like all really cheap, like really good value for money here. So I got this Talking Heads one, which is Wild Life. This is from the True Stories album here. Great song, probably like the only real standout track like on that album for me personally. I got this Tears for Fears one. This is for the song Change, a great track from their debut album, and you've got a non-album B-side, The Conflict, there like on the back of it. I got this one by The Weather Prophets, again a really good 80s kind of jangle pop band. She Comes From the Rain, a brilliant song there. Again, I think that was £1 for that one. I got a couple of Pretenders ones as well. So what have we got here? We've got Don't Get Me Wrong, always been one of my favourite Pretenders songs there, and Back on the Chain Gang, which is brilliant, just a really wonderful song. So you never know, I might start collecting Pretenders singles. Those are like my first two I've got there. I got this Aztec Camera one as well. This is for Working in a Gold Mine from their album Love. Not one of my favourite albums of theirs, but again, still nice to get that on a 7-inch single there. I got this Orange Juice one as well, another Orange Juice. This is for Two Hearts Together. Again, I think this is from the Rip It Up album when they were, guys, like a 4-piece band there, 1982. That one came out. And then we also got this Elvis Costello one. This is I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. Great song. Like great artwork like on there, like as well. Nice one to add to the Costello collection. And this one was probably my favourite like out of like ones I got, just because it's quite a fun little box set here. So this is Deacon Blue and Fergus Sings the Blues, a track from their album. Forget what it's called. Like When the World Wants to Know Your Name, I think it's called. It's the album like with like Real Gone Kid like on it, like their most popular album. But this is a really nice little box set here. So you've got inside here, you've got a little poster, which I think just has the lyrics on there and a bit of artwork, which is quite nice. You've got the actual single as well here, which is just a single, to be honest. And then you've got postcards as well, which is really nice, of all the members here too. So that's yeah, really nice. You've got 6 of these postcards here. So like lovely to get this, and again something which I'd never seen before. Okay, next couple now are from a record fair out in Shepherd's Bush, which was on like when I was down there. So I got this one here, which was an album by a band which I'll show you it first. It's by a band called The Grapes of Wrath. And this is their album Now and Again. So how I discovered this band was there's a YouTube channel called Perfect Pop Songs, and it basically just like uploads songs like of kind of power pop or like just like any sort of slightly obscure like music basically, but like kind of have like all the elements like off kind of like really good, really tight kind of like pop songwriting. And these guys came on, like they were just one of the videos, and I don't know why I thought to click on their songs, like as opposed to some of like the others. But I did, and I was just like, wow, this is really, really, really good. So I think they're an American band, like I want to say, but this is a brilliant record, definitely one like I would like recommend like everyone like to check out, because I'd certainly never heard of them, and it was just luck that I like came across this like at like the record fair. Like to be honest, I wasn't seeing anything, just the usual stuff, and I was like, I think I'm gonna leave soon kind of thing, and then suddenly this comes along, and like only like a 5 like as well. My favourite tracks to try out, I would say, would be Stay. The first track like on the second side is particularly the standout track, but I mean they're all great tracks like on here though. So yeah, The Grapes of Wrath and the album Now and Then. Then also at this fair, I got this Elvis Costello 12-inch single. This is for I Want You. He a slightly terrifying cover there from the Blood and Chocolate album. Not one of my favourite Costello songs. Certainly, I think one of his weakest singles, to be honest. It's about 9 minutes. It's 9 minutes. It's maybe about 7 minutes, this one. And it just goes on for far too long. It's certainly, for me, it lacks the kind of pop magic like of some of like his other singles. But no, yeah, I Want You by Costello. And then also got a couple of CD singles here from, again, one of my favourite bands, The Beautiful South. So I got Everybody's Talking, like on a CD single there. And I also got Dumb as well here. So this is the, again, they got into a habit of releasing multiple versions of like the singles. So like, I've already got one version of this, but this is 2 different B-sides on there. So yeah, 2 Beautiful South CD singles. And then from a different shop, I went down to the Portobello Road Market for the first time. There's a few sellers like on the market, but again, I felt that a lot of them were kind of charging kind of rip-off prices, mostly kind of aimed like at kind of tourists and that. But within the market itself, like the indoor market, they had an actual kind of record shop, and I got these 2 items here. So I got this album by a band called The Railway Children, 80s kind of jangle pop band. My uncle had their first album, but I believe this is their second album, came out in 1988. It's called Recurrence, and again, not played this yet, but I'm hoping that it's good. I mean, like, I really like their earlier work, and yeah, I think I'll like this, who knows. And then also got this one here, which is like an ELO single. Again, there's still a bit of like a guilty pleasure like off mine. So this is Rock and Roll is King. I've got some of like their other 12-inch, so I thought I didn't have this one, so I thought I'll try and get this one, try and get as many of theirs like as I can. Not one of like their best songs. It's a pretty rubbish song, I have to be honest like with you. But no, nice one to pick up though and add to the collection. Okay, next couple now I got from a shop, Reckless Records, I believe, in Soho. I think, for me anyway, the only really good shop, like in like the centre, like of like London. I know that's going to be a bit controversial there. Considering like there's great shops like Sister Ray and that, but I think this is the best one. So yeah, I got these items here. So I got this, which is a Simon and Garfunkel 7-inch single. I usually wouldn't bother with these, but this is the Japanese single. It's a Hazy Shade of Winter. And it was only £8, and again, you never see these like in like the UK, so I've just thought for the kind of like the unique value like of this one, I thought that I would pick that one up. I also got this album here, which is by a newer band, but I really enjoy them. They're Rolling Blackouts CF, and I think this is their debut album called Hope Downs. And yeah, this is great. Again, it's maybe a bit samey, like, you know, like they have a sound and they kind of stick to it, but it's just really great. A lot of kind of like great sort of like dual guitar work on there, like throughout the album. So yeah, really good stuff. Okay, and then I probably should have left this one like to last, because I think it was maybe like one like the better finds lines like off like The Trip, but I'm just showing it now. It is George Harrison and the Early Takes Volume 1. So this is a record which I'd never bothered to buy, like, but I kind of like when I seen it, like I was really surprised because I've not seen this on vinyl in ages, I don't think, and it's one of these things that with like new records, like with reissues, or like records like this, like from like a few years back, like when like you see them, like it's like I kind of felt like we need to get it, you know. And like I've heard great things about this, and I must say this didn't disappoint. These are just beautiful recordings, like early George Harrison takes, mostly from the All Things Must Pass era, but just some really great kind of raw, rough and ready recordings, but have a lot of charm to them, like, as well. So I mean, again, I'm gonna say like the old cliche, but where's Volume 2? Like, you know, I mean, this came out 2011. I mean, we're all dying for like Volume 2, like off like this. Like, but yeah, no, like the early takes, like really fantastic, like fantastic compilation there. Okay, and then from the last shop, last bundle, I'm going to show from the Music Exchange in Greenwich, which is my favourite shop, like which is my favourite record shop, like in London. Always do really well, kind of singles wise and stuff like in there. So I got this Orange Juice single here, which is What Presents, from their final album here. Again, don't often see like Orange Juice singles, so I thought I'd pick that one up. This was when they were reduced down to a duo. I then got this one, which is a Prefab Sprout 12-inch for Johnny Johnny, one of their singles from the Steve McQueen album. This song's really grown on me. I must say that when like I first heard the Steve McQueen album and first were getting into Prefab Sprout, I didn't like this song, but now it's just brilliant. That kind of like that middle eighth where it just like ramps up, and it's just so good. So yeah, Johnny Johnny by Prefab Sprout, and again you get not one, not two, but three B-sides like on here, like as well. So yeah, Prefab Sprout there from 1985. And then got another Orange Juice one here, which is for the song Bridge. Now this was the pricey sum of £1, which I thought was fantastic. Again, I think this was a non-album single. I'm certainly not familiar like with like the song, but again, I'm not a massive expert like on like Orange Juice, but again, rarely see their stuff, so I thought I'd pick that one up. I then got this one mostly for the cover because I really like it. It's Mad World by Tears for Fears here, and again because it's a really great song. So you get Mad World on there, and then you get Ideas as Opaques on the B-side, which I think was a which is definitely a song like from like The Hurting. It's one of my favourites from the album, like in fact. So a bit sad it's not a unique B-side, but a great song there though, by Tears for Fears. I showed one of their albums earlier, like in the video, a World Party album. I then picked up this one for very cheap as well. This is a Private Revolution here. I mean, again, I've not played this yet, so I can't say whether I prefer this to Goodbye Jumbo. But this one came out 1986, so this was possibly the first World Party album. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like it was. But again, Carl Wallinger, great songwriting, and like quite a nice cheap copy of it here. And then we'll finish the video with an XTC related item. So this is an Andy Partridge solo album, came out in the early 80s. It is Take Away, Allure off the Salvage here. So this was a kind of ambient kind of dub album which he made. I've not played this, and I'm not expecting great things like from it, to be honest like with you, but one kind of needed for like the XTC collection. Good cover though, like I quite like the cover, apparently like all like these songs are kind of taken, like they're kind of sampling let's say like different like XTC songs and that, so I'm sure it'll be quite interesting and quite fun to kind of pick out where he's taken certain sounds and like sort of like bits like from, but yeah, like not expecting too much like with this one though. Okay, so that's come to the end of this vinyl update video, so I hope you have enjoyed, and if you've got any requests for future reviews or videos, please do leave them down below in the comments, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.